Welcome back. So the new Git checkout is going to be version 02 and 20, the one you're looking at down here, or 21 if you want to get the code right away. I'm going to commit that soon. So this time I want to start working on the admin part, meaning that I want to add more roles into a single user. So instead of a user only having one role, we want to be able to add multiple roles to the user. Not only that, we want to be able to, we have this, when you're logged in as an admin now, you can see this user setup here. We want to also be able to add roles to the user in here, multiple roles. So that's going to be the goal of the next few lessons. This lesson we're going to start out by just setting up the basics to actually have more roles on a user. And again, since this is your code, you can do whatever you want with it. I'm going to show you how I would do it, and I know there's a gazillion other ways to do it out there, so it's up to you if you want to do it differently. But at least let me show you where you need to do changes to change this setup that we have right now. So the first place that I want to show you where you need to change something is inside the user model here. That's the first area you want to change something, and right now you don't have this as an array. So if you're following along writing the code yourself, you have to add these curly brackets right there. Let me just remove them. So you have to tell, instead of a single role now, I want to accept multiple roles. So I'm going to add an array around the role here. And now the Mongo knows that. Now the Mongo knows that you want multiple roles in your setup. Now the second place we're going to change this is actually in the seeding. So inside the seed.js, instead of right now where you again only have a single role like this, you're going to add instead a list of roles. So maybe I only have a user for this guy right now, or I don't even have a role, but now I want to add multiple roles. So I'm going to add the array around it saying, right now the user is going to be a user, this guy called test user. But this guy is going to have two roles. He's going to be both an admin and a user. Is this necessary? Well, I really don't feel so, but I've been asked about if this is possible, and yes, of course it is. The code can be manipulated to do whatever you want with roles. So that's why I want to show you this. So this guy is now an admin and a user. Maybe he was even a super admin, meaning that this guy could do more than normal admins, like he could add admins to the system, just to make this even more complex. So these roles, where are they actually from? Because we don't have to hard code them in as we're doing right now. We could actually do something different. If you look under config environment and shared, this is actually where the roles are. And here you'll notice that I have a guest role, a user role, an admin role, and now I also added a super admin in here. So this is where we set up these roles. And you need to know, as soon as I save this, Granda actually has some magic running behind the scenes that actually adds them inside the client side under app constants, automatically adding those roles up here as well. Okay, and that's pretty powerful. So as soon as I made a change inside my share down here, the full stack guys figured out, okay, then they probably also want to change up here inside the client side, because of course we want to validate both client and server side as always. So they made that happen automatically. Thanks guys, that's a huge help. So that's done for us now. What else do we need to figure out? The last place we need to make changes is inside the auth service. The has role function in here needs to be changed. We need to make so that it looks something like this. So I've made a few changes. Before we only had a single role validation, so we only needed to do this actually for a single role. But now, since it's actually an array of roles, we have to convert it. So we say, I want to run over not only the single role, but every role you have in your system. And if I find in that array, this is actually a way for me to test that the roles is actually an array and not a single property anymore. I just want to make sure that it's an array, it's not undefined, and it's actually an array. And if it is, then I can do it for each on the array and say for each role I find in the user's roles, then I can actually test and see if that roles is inside the index, then I'll get more than -1. And if that's bigger than or equal to the same guy that I find with the role that I actually require, that means if I set an admin here, then hopefully he will also be found as a 0 or bigger. Then it's found the real role that I'm looking for, and he's actually authenticated. And then I can say if he is authenticated just like before, then I'll do the next. If not, I'll send he's forbidden. That's all you have to do. So this is how I've changed the role setup now server side, so now I'm sure that the role is actually accepted. But we're not exactly done. We need to do the same thing for the client side, so we'll do that in the next lesson.